baby boomers continue to sail into retirement. Turns out nearly 30% of those planning to retire will do that carrying mortgage debt. That is a far cry from the age of rotary phones and station wagons and people paying off their mortgage before retirement. So joining us live this morning for more at the state of retired homeowners and the impact on the broader housing market, Phil Soper, President and CEO of Royal LePage, frequent guest on the program, is here. Phil, it's nice to see you this morning.
Good to be here.
This is an interesting trend, and as I was reading more, through the notes that you provided here, really, you think about this, most people retired without any mortgage debt, but that is definitely not the case these days with a lot of Canadians.
No, it's, I think as a generation, and this one will knock you, it's baby boomers and Gen X turns 60 this year.
Right.
Yeah.
No
So
kidding.
it's,
I know.
I know.
Yeah.
So we've got a situation where older Gen Xers, baby boomers, are not saying I'm done. Mm-hmm. The old burn the mortgage and get your affairs in order. They have no intention of getting their affairs in order.
So did that change the housing market then versus now in terms of if people had their mortgage paid off? Because my sense is if your mortgage is paid off, you're kind of thinking, okay, good, I don't have to have any bills to pay beyond property taxes and update, so I can stay there. But this time, would people maybe downsize to sort of get a lower mortgage potentially? Is that what you're finding, or what are you seeing?
Right now, we're finding people behaving like they're just the same as when they're working, but without a job.
Yeah.
So they're carrying a mortgage later. Of course, they're retiring later. It's just creeping up over time and living considerably longer, about 50% longer after retirement than their grandparents did. So it makes sense. But I think in general, the downsizing thing, what we found the last time we looked at retirees was baby boomers own more homes than Gen X and millennials, or more family homes, 3 bedrooms or more, than Gen X and millennials combined.
That sounds about right. It checks out.
Exactly, and they're finally giving them up. So that's going to spell better times for affordability when we come out of this tariff-driven market downturn as we free up some family homes. So that's good. We are finding that in our biggest cities like Toronto, it's happening less. Yeah. And I think, though this didn't come out directly in the research, as I was thinking about it, the economic benefit of moving from a detached home to call it a sizable condo in the GTA, there's not a lot of economic benefit to get a 1,200 square foot condo.
Right, yeah.
If you want a 600 square foot condo, there's great money left on the table.
Yeah, I found it intriguing about the condo findings in your report because, once you get into a condo, you get into monthly maintenance fees, so you're getting back into more guaranteed costs, plus your property taxes, et cetera. So the people are building in a cost there that perhaps that wasn't, 30, 40 years ago, people weren't getting into that either.
It's true. It's true. It's been a double-edged sword for this generation of retirees. On one hand, they've had capital gains. Their underlying real estate assets, their principal residence, have grown like crazy.
The appreciation's been
On the other hand, where they were going to move to has also gotten a lot more expensive. And as you point out, the carrying costs are a lot more than they might have anticipated, certainly more than their grandparents would have ever dreamed of paying.
Now, I must say, can we make an assumption here? People in their 40s and 50s in my age, some people have, these monster 600, 700, 800,000 and plus mortgages. Is it fair to assume that people are retiring maybe with mortgages that are maybe even sub 100,000? Like, we're not going in with a monster kind of, like $2,500, $3,500 a month mortgage payment. Is that fair to say as well?
Yeah. The research looked at people who were retiring in 25 and 26, and a full 10% of them hadn't had the mortgage paid off, but intended to before they retired.
That's
and we're talking about 25 and 20, the next,
call
it 12 to 24 months. So they're on the cusp of getting to that kind of position.
Phil Soper, always appreciate the interesting angle today. Good to talk to you. Okay, take care.